Hi, I'm Cameron Goodall here with Bruce Hitchings at Highland Reeds. We're going to discuss what led him to develop his excellent range of synthetic reeds. Bruce, why should an individual consider moving away from cane reeds to using acrylic reeds?
Well, the synthetic drone reeds really came in the mid-90s, and the advantage of using synthetic is because they're more consistent, particularly with cane is susceptible to the moisture conditions or the climate conditions, which creates moisture. Your breath is 96 degrees, this creates heat, this then creates moisture as it cools down in the drones. The synthetic is not so susceptible to this, and it's more reliable. And as they've been developed more, the tonal quality has become as good, so that's the main reason.
And do you find, particularly in a competing arena, that the synthetic reeds give a more stable ground for someone to build a performance on?
Yeah, of course there's great controversy over this, it depends who you talk to, but if you actually go to the Nova meetings and look at the setup of the top players that play in the class, probably about, well not probably, it's over 75% of them are playing synthetic setup. And some of them might be playing a sheepskin bag, although the majority are playing synthetic bags. They're playing synthetic reeds with moisture control systems, because these days the tonal quality of the reeds and the setup is as good as cane, traditional cane, but you have that consistency or reliability that you know that you're not going to get caught out with your drones getting wet and going out of tune.
Okay, so what problems did you run into, with early synthetic reeds that led you to think about possibly developing a range of your own?
Well, I foolishly thought I would just develop a synthetic drone reed within a few months or within a year and put it on the market, and I really spent about 3 years developing it before I even put it on the market. I was keen not to just copy other people, but to have a look at other products and to see how I could improve upon what they had done and to come up with some solutions. So I quite quickly decided to go with a plastic body, an old plastic body non-absorbent material, because really if you want to play a synthetic reed, why play a material that's going to absorb moisture? You're just going back to cane. And it's a complete myth to believe that you have to play a wood or paper composite material to get the tonal qualities. People get confused between cane reeds. Cane reeds give you harmonics because of the design of the reed, the length of it and the tongue. When people go to synthetic reeds, they really want to find a synthetic reed that gives them that same harmonics. So people say, oh, synthetic reeds aren't good because they haven't got this or that, but you can't base all synthetic reeds the same. So I was keen to get that tonal harmonic quality that the cane had, but to have the stability and reliability of the synthetic setup. And as I say, it took me 3 years of mucking around just even before I got something which was the first original black reeds that I put on the market.
Okay, sure. So let's take a look at one of your reeds just now, Bruce, and you can talk me through some of the features. So I notice one of the things that we have here is grooves in behind the tongue of the reed. What exactly is the purpose of these?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. First of all, I use a glass fibre tongue, which is light and vibrates very similar to cane, but quite rigid, but not as heavy as the carbon fibre tongues. One of the principles I wanted to do was make sure that the tongue was straight and not bent, because once you bend plastic, you put an extra strain on it, stress on it, and the memory of that will eventually take it back flat. So if the tongue's lying flat, and then I put the curvature in the body of the reed.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
Now, what then happens with a lot of reeds, particularly small tongue reeds, is they build up a small film of moisture between the tongue and the body of the reed.
Which will act as a glue.
Well, yeah, and that starts to move each time the reed vibrates, and you'll get this with a lot of the small tongue reeds, and they start to go unsteady, and you can hear this when you're playing it. You start to get it, and you know what's going to happen next. They're going to stop, right? Now, this also happened on my reeds, not to the same extent, but because the tongue's slightly longer, I put these grooves in, and I call them moisture grooves. This disperses the moisture out the side. I can actually drop these reeds into a glass of water, take them out, and blow them through and play them. So it's really quite simple if they do get to that point, but they'll take a lot more moisture because these grooves disperse the moisture and allow the reed to continue for a lot longer.
Great idea.
And keeping the steadiness.
And what's the purpose of the plug that we have here?
Well, the plug, this was the whole setup of a drone reed is to get the correct and the best ultimate tonal quality is in the bridle. It's always set the bridle to suit your chanter strength and to suit your particular drones. So just by the most minute movement of the drones by the bridle would change your tonal quality. Now this is quite difficult, and particularly for beginners and people like that to understand this. They either pull it down too far and it stops, they take it back too far and it's too coarse. So what I was trying to do was actually do away with the bridle by having an open and shut aperture.
Oh, right, yeah.
So by closing the aperture over, I thought that I could change the loudness of the reed, if you like, and the tonal quality. It didn't really work, but it was one of my ideas. This is what I was thinking. It does work to a small extent. You will get a small tonal change, but basically what I recommend is that you do leave that open, because if you close it too much, it'll make the reed unsteady. But what it does do is if you close it completely, it acts as an off switch. So you have an off switch if you're in a band and something's gone wrong and you want to just shut the reed off, or if you want to play without your just your chanter and put the drones off. Or
See, it means that you don't have to run about trying to find cops.
You don't have to find cops and all that, so it stays straight away, you know.
Yep, yep.
The other great thing, if you have these reeds in a band, or if you have different sets, or even in your tenors, is you can just slide the bodies off and change them over to another, you know, put another reed in. You don't have to hit them all up. This is what
that's fantastic.
This is what I do. I test every set of reeds goes out in my pipes. Sorry, before every set of reeds goes out, I test them in my pipes. But all I do is I take this set, I put them, slide them on, because I've got the reed seat already hipped up in the pipes. I blow the pipes up, I tune them, I play a wee bit of the tune, I shut them off to make sure everything's functioning. So every set that goes out has been tested in this set of McDougall bagpipes that belonged to my great-grandfather.
Wow.
But the other very important thing you were talking about, the features of the drones, of the cane, was that the reeds were airtight, completely airtight, which makes them air efficient, which allows them to function properly with the pulses going up the drones, coming back, and this gives you not only the air efficiency, which means you're not wasting energy, it also gives you the higher harmonics, which are the harmonics that bring out the sweetness and the chanter notes.
Okay. So
you will know that yourself, being a musician.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reeds are, you know, are a great deal more consistent, and you know, you can actually bring a lot of variation to the reed without necessarily changing the reed.
Yeah, one of the things I found early on was not to assume that everybody knows what they're doing. So there's probably two difficulties here. One is to produce a reed that everyone can use, but also use a reed that the top players are going to want to play. So you don't want it too complicated that beginners can't use it, but you do need to have a reed that's going to give you that top quality sound so that top players will use it. One of the big problems with synthetic drone reeds is the bass drone. And a lot of people say, oh, you must play a cane bass drone and play two synthetic tenors. I disagree with this, because in going back to my principle of cane reeds, I always played the same cane reeds from the same maker, and hopefully the same cane. This way you would get a more consistent sound, and hopefully they would stay in tune or go out of tune together. If you start mixing up your drone reeds, you've got reeds made of different materials like a carbon fibre tongue or a glass fibre tongue, they could react different and they could go out of tune different. Particularly if you've got a cane bass reed, it could get moisture and go out of tune before you have tenors. So I spent a lot of time developing my synthetic bass drone reed to give you the depth, sound and the richness that you need. I teach at so many summer schools, and before I really invented the valves, people would buy the reeds off me, and then they'd say to me, oh Bruce, can you help me set up the reeds in the pipes? I'd say yes, no problems. Put the reeds in the pipes, and I was having difficulties, and I knew the reeds were working fine because I'd tested them in my own pipes, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get these reeds going in these people's pipes. And then eventually they would say, or I'd work it, you got valves in there? I say, yes. I say, oh, let's take the valves out, set up the reeds, and then put the valves back in. I found that a lot of the people had these elasticated valves set very tight because they wanted good cut-offs, but that then meant that if they weren't good blowers, through the inconsistency in the blowing, there was big fluctuations in the air pressure changing the tone, which you would understand being a musician. So the tonal quality and the pitch was going up and down, and I was blaming my reeds, and really it was so. So I then thought I had to find some way of improving this, and that's where I went to the screw. So the screw valve doesn't only just help with the cut-offs and the strike-ins, which the other valves do. This valve really gives you consistency of air pressure, so it can help poor players to blow properly.
Okay,
It's a great advantage.
Obviously doubled up with the synthetic reeds, and that gives you great consistency of sound.
Great consistency, and you can screw them down and make them slightly quieter, but you can open up the bridles. You can open them up so they take more air, they won't shut off just quite as much then. So it's really, but the other great beauty about it is with the screw is you can make such small adjustments, as you can see there, can just really make just minute adjustments to the amount.
And that will make a difference.
Oh, it makes a huge difference to the amount of air pressure. You can't get that so accurate with the elastication.
No, of course you can.
And the elastic also breaks quite often. So that's why I came up with a screw valve.
The elastication, it strikes me, would also be, it would be something which would be different in different environments, whereas the screw is something which would be a great deal more stable.
No, exactly. I think it's more stable, it's easier to deal with, it's easier to set up, and it's very simple to take them out. But actually once you fit them with a long screwdriver down, you can actually adjust them. If you put it in a new chanter reed, you really don't have to keep pulling them in and out, you know.
Well, that's a great advantage. And these coupled together with moisture control systems as well.
Yeah, in my moisture control system, the valves actually come with that, but it is possible, if you're not ready for the moisture system, that you can buy the valves by themselves. Then you can add spare cartridges later, giving you the complete moisture system. So it is possible to add on to that, which gives you a whole different versatility or versatile system, where many of the other valves that are on the market, you can't add a moisture system to them. Or if you do add a moisture system to them, you can't adjust them unless you take the whole moisture system off. So it's really not quite, you know, it's certainly not as accessible as this system.
Okay. So the valves are available separately, but they're also available as part of the moisture control system.
Or you can buy the cartridges to add to the valves.
Well, excellent. Happy bunnies.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you.